Alrighty, guys, we are live. Welcome back. This is the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. We are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. We will be asking the question, Delphi and Evansdale, are they connected or not? So we have a lot of notes to go over, a lot of reading. So let me put on my glasses here. Make sure you guys participate in the poll. Delphi and Evansdale connected, not connected, possibly connected. I think for me, what brought the question back up was Richard Allen kind of admitting to working in Chicago and changing jobs between 2012 and 2013. Also, his interest in fishing, and as a manager, reaching out to other communities. And also, he seems to be traveling a lot for work. So I figured that would reignite this question. Also, if they are connected, that would pretty much say that Richard Allen is a serial killer. And he's using like Satanism to hide messages and anadromes and things like that. I mean, that's what it is. 21317, 71312. It's an anadrome. What's going on, Cyber Warrior? Bad Actors, good to see you. Tony N. Catching some live streams lately. Good to see you. What's going on, Mark? She Warrior, hello. Karen Hick. Jill Moser, Patty. Crunch Truck says maybe. Let me pull up my notes here. We'll get going. The Saint says definitely a no from me. Saint, what makes you say no? I'm just curious. I'm not saying they are or they aren't. But you know, what brought you to that? What's going on, Timmy? Very similar. Okay. What's up, Charles? Miss Dog Lover. I think he's a serial killer anyway, but he just got caught by luck and Libby's quick thinking. But why exclude him from Evansdale? Grunge says, I believe he admitted to visiting different trails. Miranda, what's going on? Happy Easter. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy 420 also. You have a little bit of the planets aligning today. Maybe he used his gun to get those girls in his car. Mirandus is not connected. Any specific reason why not? And those of you who say yes, any reasons why? I'm going to kind of lay out both sides of that coin. But in my opinion, reversing it like that or inverting it or using an anadrome, if they are connected, right? This is a big hypothetical speculation goes against everything that law enforcement or, um, goes against everything. But pretty much law enforcement's been wrong about every piece of Delphi, and we still don't really know what happened there. So we'll go down a bit of a rabbit hole today, I think. Yeah, that's a great documentary. I think it was on Max. Yeah, definitely recommend that. What we know of Evansdale. We don't know a whole lot, especially about the crime scene. Linda says, Happy Easter. Happy Easter, Linda. Implies Alan isn't involved. I think in today's theory, which is highly speculative in nature, he's going to be the focal point. He's the convicted killer in Delphi. So if they're connected, it's obvious that he would then be the killer for Evansdale. So I think today we're going to be focusing on the number 2 and the number 13. Happy Easter. Karen says, I'm sure he's killed before. He has no emotion. It didn't bother him. Brown-eyed girl, happy Easter and happy 420. All right, who'd I miss? All right, let's get going. Okay. Are the Delphi and Evansdale murders connected? And could Richard Allen be a serial killer? The possibility that the Evansdale murders, July 13th, 2012 in Iowa, and the Delphi murders, February 13th, 2017 in Indiana, are linked has sparked speculation, particularly in the true crime communities. If connected, Richard Allen, arrested in 2022 for the Delphi murders, could be classified as a serial killer. Today we explore this theory, define a serial killer, outline reasons for the speculated connection, and examine the intriguing role of the number 13 and potential occult motives, including the concept of date inversion and ritualistic elements. Let's welcome in Darkside. Yeah, I have to know a lot more about Evansdale, but are there suspects for Evansdale? I keep hearing that, you know, so, talk is cheap. I haven't seen anything, nobody's putting anything up. There's no official statements. There's no arrests being made. So until then, I feel like it's still up in the air. Yeah, it's a darkness. Okay, so what is a serial killer? Serial killer is an individual who commits multiple murders, typically 3 or more, over time, with distinct intervals or cooling off period between killings. The FBI defines serial murder as the unlawful killing of 2 or more victims by the same offender or offenders in separate events. So key traits would include multiple victims, usually 3 or more, though some definitions include 2. Time gaps. Killings occur in separate incidents, unlike spree killings, continuous events, or mass murders, single events. Motives, often psychological, such as power, control, thrill, sexual gratification, though motives like revenge or ideology can apply. Patterns. Many serial killers exhibit a signature, such as targeting specific victim types or using consistent methods. Bad actors. He won't confess. He'd lose the support of his wife. Yep. Why do I agree with that? Because he was diagnosed with dependent personality disorder. And not only that, you combine that with what we've learned in his confessions, his phone calls with his wife, Kathy. Every time he brought up or even attempted to confess, she shut him down. You know, she basically told him, like, look, every time you try to go that route, you're devastating me. I don't want to do that. You're hurting me. He's like, okay, well, I don't want to do that. Victimology, in my opinion, is very similar. Criminology is very similar. Typology is similar. Oh, also, something I want to do today, we're going to do an exercise. I'm going to use a technique to hide a message. This technique is used in Satanism, advertising, mind control, brainwashing, and oftentimes it's hidden in plain sight. So we're going to kind of play a little detective. We're going to play a little clue. So today's message is hidden in this term. Or not term, in this phrase. Sabbat, say, fools. All right? So it's up to you guys to decipher that, and I'll give you a clue. It's not an anagram. So here, let me put that up on the screen for you. So there's a message hidden within that phrase. It's up to you guys to break the code to decipher this. Because once you decipher it, you can kind of you'll be able to determine the method used to hide the message. And that might point to a motive. Obviously, my motive is to have fun with the chat and create a little bit of an example. And we will reveal this a little bit towards the end of the stream. But here, let me put this up for you. Sabbat say fools. What does it mean? You know, something like some advertisement would have hidden in the background. Like you don't really know what it means. You just hear it. Okay, so there is a hidden message here. And the method that I've used to hide the message is often used in advertising, Satanism, brainwashing, mind control. Sabbat say fools. What could it possibly mean? Well, the point of the exercise is that it means something. And if you could figure out what it means, you'll be able to determine the method that was used. And once you know the method, that'll point to the practitioners of that method and why it might be being used to leave a signature, I guess. To me, that's the bottom line. If Evansdale and Delphi are connected, that means that the killer purposely chose the date that he killed in Evansdale, and then chose the date specifically for when he killed in Delphi. Both being on the 13th, both having two victims involved in the crime, two probably representing duality, and then the 13th representing rebellion or chaos, the same as reversing something or choosing an anadrome to commit your follow-up killing. So he's hiding a message. It's kind of like part of black magic or Satanism. They kind of have to come out in a subtle way and confess what they're planning to do. It's like, oh, well, I gave you a warning. I warned you. So don't forget that. Sabbat say fools. What could it mean? And the only hint I'm going to give you guys is that it's not an anagram. Sabbat say fools. What the hell is that? Silverleaf, what's up? Was there a Walmart cleanup by this area back then? Richard Allen seems to like or learn areas, and he made it a point a couple times to talk about the cleanup they did by Delphi. Just my opinion or questions. Yeah, I brought that up earlier, Silverleaf. He worked apparently in Chicago at a Walmart. He was a manager. And one thing we've learned about him, that's what he likes to do as a manager. He likes to get involved in outreach programs. You know, he reaches out to local communities and gets involved. Well, at least that's what he did in Delphi before moving there, right? Or after moving there. Because I think he moved there in what, 2006? That cleanup was way after, sometime after 2011. So who knows? He's working up in Chicago at the Walmart. Evansdale's only a 4-hour drive from there. It's a 6-hour drive from Delphi. He changed his job. So the Evansdale girls were found in December of 2012. He's changed jobs in early 2013. So, I mean, that coincides with that as well. Miranda says there are suspects in the Evansdale case, Richard Allen not being one. However, there are multiple similarities in the two cases. Well, there's no public suspects, Miranda. Law enforcement hasn't come out and publicly said that there are suspects. Not that I know of. Scene can be considered tainted by what, the hunters or by the investigative team that responded? What's up, Beth? Says happy Resurrection Day, Sleuth and Sleuth crew. Thank you, Beth. You don't see it? Uh-oh. The hell, I thought I had it up there for you. Let's see. Sabbat say fools. There is a message hidden in there within these words. Mark says, I got it. Second letter for 2. Not an anagram. Not an anagram. That's your only hint. What's up, Ruckus? He was at Bradley Walmart 2010, 2011. That is true. And in Chicago in 2012. According to his, that's what he said in the in his interview. All right. What is the hidden message here, guys? Sabbath say fools. And we'll find out a little bit later. All right. If Richard Allen, convicted for the Delphi murders of Abigail Williams, 13, and Liberty German, 14, and really she had just turned 14. I believe her birthday was late December. So really we're talking about 2 13-year-old girls linked to Evansdale murders of Elizabeth Collins, 8, and Lyric Cook Morrissey, 10. He would meet the serial killer criteria due to multiple victims across separate incidents. So, several similarities between the Evansdale and Delphi cases fuel speculation, though law enforcement has found no definitive link. And I repeat, law enforcement has found no definitive link. So, number 1, rare double abductions. Both cases involved the abduction and murder of 2 young girls in broad daylight, a statistically uncommon crime. Evansdale victims were cousins taken while biking near Myers Lake, and Delphi victims were friends hiking near the Monon High Bridge. Victim and setting parallels. The victims were young females, preteen to early teen, and both crimes occurred in small, rural, Midwestern towns. Evansdale, population of 5,000. Delphi, 3,000, in a recreational area. A lake trail and a hiking trail. Geographic proximity. The locations are 317 miles apart. 6-hour drive, plausible for a mobile offender operating in the Midwest. Here, I think I did pull some maps. So, for example, from Delphi to Evansdale, it's about a 6-hour drive. But from Chicago to Evansdale, which is where Richard Allen would have been in 2012, working at a Walmart, it's only a little shy of about a 5-hour drive. Chat GPT can't figure out the hidden message, nor I. What's up, Jeff? Remember, it's not an anagram. Maybe I'll give you guys another hint in a little while. It's pretty hard. I don't think any of you guys are going to figure it out. What's up, Cindy Lean? All right, who am I missing? I don't think Delphi was Allen's first. He was too calm after. Yeah, he did pretty good in the interrogation. Ruckus says, wise men speak because they have something important to say. Fools speak because they feel they have to. Welcome in, Jamie. The Evansdale girls were abducted and then left at a different location 20 minutes away. Yeah, that's going to fall under challenges and counter arguments later on, towards the end. But yeah, you guys can start throwing those out there. Debunk it. The Saint says, I think Richard Allen was on his first hunt and would have been more, but the bridge guy video scared him to death and saved lives. All right. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this part. Really, this is the only time I'm going to mention it. But there are the drug scene rumors, speculation about methamphetamine ties exist in both cases, particularly in Evansdale, where Lyric's parents had drug connections, and to a lesser extent in Delphi, suggesting a possible drug related motive or offender. And I did pull two headlines. This one would be related to Evansdale. And this is an old report, I think from 2014, where they mentioned Derek German being involved possibly with methamphetamine. So possible link there, but that's really all. Nothing much there. Grunge Truck, did they ever question Richard? That I don't know. Okay, let's get into the date coincidence. Both abductions occurred on the 13th day of the month, July 13th, 2012, and February 13th, 2017, with dates forming an anadrome. Here, let me pull something up for you guys. It might be easier just to show you because it is pretty interesting. It could be just a coincidence, but man, it is really, it's interesting. It's the only way you could put it. So I'll pull the numbers up on an editing program, Paint Shop Pro, and we'll play with it. That way I can kind of show you exactly how strange it really is. What's up, Mustang? They don't know exactly when they were put where they was, so it was probably hard to learn much from the scene. Well, that I don't know. They've been very secretive about the crime scene for good reason. Ruckus, thank you for bringing attention to the case. Let me see if I can get Drew in here. Yeah, shout out to Drew. Tell him I said hey. Tell him to wear his hoodie. Free promo. The Ruckus, good to see you. TJ Collins, what's up? I don't think there is a connection. I think Evansdale was some corruption. I could be wrong, but I hope it's solved. Lane, what's up? I don't believe it was good at the interview. I feel like he had rehearsed for years. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like he did good. Like he planned for it. His timing was all messed up, but then again, you can practice. You know, I always use the boxing analogy. Like they train, you know, for months, 6 to 3 months before a fight. And then they show up under those bright lights, you know, and then it all falls apart. So I think it's the same for him. He planned for that day, he planned for it. And then under the bright lights, you know, it all started to kind of fall apart for him. Didn't really go as planned. All right. Bear with me, guys. Okay. So basically just run the words back or the letters backwards. Or excuse me, the numbers backwards. Sorry. I'm trying to do 4 or 5 things at the same time. So isn't that weird? Trey Bazaar. Let's see if I have any other anadrome examples here. I think I do. Let's see. Anadrome is a word or phrase that, when reversed, forms another word or phrase. Examples include stressed and desserts, drawer and reward. So it's like they kind of spread out from the middle out. But this is where the inversion comes in. So you invert this, and it's a mirror image. Which is often used in Satanism. You know, like the inversion of the cross, inversion of the star, or the pentagram, represents rebellion, just like the number 13. Miss Dog Lover, can I have a free hoodie just for being awesome? Yeah, shoot me an email. I'll send you a hoodie. Jamie, they found several same phone numbers in Evansdale. See, I don't buy all that crap. You got to show me. Show it to me. Show me your cards. I call. DP, would Richard Allen travel 400 miles to do another murder? I don't know. Would he travel 400 miles maybe to visit a park and then commit a murder? Possibly. If he's a serial killer, if they're connected, that would make him a serial killer. That means that he most likely planned it out. Selected 2 victims specifically on the 13th day of the month. 2 victims equals duality, and 13 equals rebellion. And then you would flip it upside down to show the duality, which is good and evil. So you have the anadrome, you just flip it around. So you're already concealing your message this way, right? And the inversion is part of the ritual. I'm thinking, for sake of argument. TJ, still think Richard Allen has committed more. Okay. All right. So I'm going to shut this down. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of exactly what I was referring to. So an anadrome. So it's basically an anadrome that's been inverted. That makes sense. Okay. So the date inversion theory and occult significance. The most compelling coincidence, in my view, is the inverted date pattern. The Evansdale murders occurred on July 13th, 2012, which is 7/13/12, and the Delphi murders on February 13th, 2017, which is 2/13/17. The dates are an anadrome, with the month and the day digits 7/13 and 2/13 suggesting a deliberate inversion. Could a killer, possibly motivated by occult beliefs, have chosen these dates to reflect a ritualistic pattern? Or if it was his first time, maybe then at Delphi in his backyard, maybe. I guess if you don't ask, you don't get. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. JR Girl, they aren't smart enough to plan dates, but the demons that possess them do. There you go. See, now we're getting on track. We need to look at this through a filter. We're not saying, we really believe that this is what happened. We're just investigating. We're just looking. To show me, I want the geofence data, especially in the Delphi case. Me too. Welcome to the Sleuth Crew, Mark. I appreciate that. Welcome aboard. West Memphis 3 murders are somewhat similar too, if you look at it. I agree with that. Boston, welcome in. Evansdale Park System has a geocache program and water just like Delphi. Later, Ruckus. Happy Easter. I asked him, he'd give a totally different answer, in my opinion. Okay. In occult traditions, the number 13 is rich with meaning, often symbolizing rebellion, transformation, or the sacred feminine. For example, 13 lunar cycles in a year. In darker contexts, such as Satanism or black magic, inversion is a powerful motif. Inverting symbols, dates, or rituals, for example, an upside down cross, is seen as a way to defy divine order or invoke malevolent forces. If the Evansdale murders were a ritual tied to the number 13, the killer might have selected Delphi's date 2/13/17 to mirror and invert the earlier crime 7/13/12, creating a symbolic continuation of their work. While little is known about the Evansdale crime scene due to the victim's skeletonization, the Delphi crime scene has been described as staged, with odd elements per a leaked search warrant and prosecutor Robert Ives. This has led to theories of ritualistic intent, though the Odinism theory suggesting a Norse pagan ritual was largely debunked due to the lack of evidence and questionable defense claims at Allen's trial. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The phrase, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, reminds us not to discard a broader idea just because one aspect is flawed. Dismissing Odinism doesn't mean we should rule out ritualistic motive entirely. The Delphi crime scene staging and the date coincidence suggest a killer might have drawn from a blend of occult influences, such as witchcraft, demonology, or Satanism, rather than a specific ideology like Odinism. None of your business. Come on now. The guy responsible for Evansdale is dead. Police just don't want to admit it. They dropped the ball. Well, they're very interested in somebody, right? Kind of like how we were so interested in Keegan Kline at one point. Well, and I still am, to be honest. Multiple kids in a forest area. That's about all the similarities I see. 2 victims around 2 o'clock. The dates. I mean, that's the most compelling part of it all, really, is the dates, the anadrome. You have maybe a killer evolving. He commits the murder on 2/13, at 2:13 p.m. and it was two 13-year-old girls on a date that mirrors, a first murder. Hypothetically, right? All right. So did you guys break the code of Sabbat say fool? We'll be revealing that coded message in a little while. Okay. So a lot of people think the sticks and all that kind of stuff could be part of some ritual. The bloodletting. Let's take a look at some of this. Witchcraft or demonology. The killer might have used symbols or rituals inspired by folk magic or demonic invocation, common in some Midwestern subcultures, to imbue their acts with personal or supernatural significance. Satanism, while not necessarily tied to organized satanic groups, a lone offender could adopt satanic imagery or inversion. For example, the date pattern to express rebellion or power, aligning with 13's occult association with defiance. Hybrid ritual. The killer might have created a personalized ritual combining elements of multiple traditions, as many modern occultists do, making it harder to pin to one belief system. But I digress. CJK says Clunder. So if you're using Clunder as a suspect for Evansdale and you go ask law enforcement if Clunder's a suspect, they'll tell you no. That's all I know. Is he most likely responsible? That's what I thought. Well, he didn't. Yeah, I guess he did get away. He took the easy way out, that's for sure. Yep, I know the story well. Jeff, I can't figure out the Sabbath say fools. When will you give the answer? See, I knew there were going to be a few of you that I was driving nuts. So let's give everybody we'll say in another minute to figure it out. Sabbath say fool. I'm Go ahead. If you know, now's the time. Show your cards or forever hold your peace. 88. So remember, the hint was it's not an anagram. All right. You guys ever heard of backmasking? You guys know what that is? Backmasking. Anybody? Jeff says, I was thinking maybe the answer was in the characters just to the right of each other on the keyboard. Ooh, I like where you're going with that. I like where your head's at. Bad actors, I don't know, but no. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you. Hey, Goat Dog, what's up? I've always thought these two crimes have been connected somehow. I don't necessarily think that Richard Allen did the Evansdale murders. However, I think they are connected in another more abstract way. Possibly. There's so much we don't know about both crimes, right? Shout out to Jason Voorhees. Mark, yes, just like in songs or in advertising or Jessica says recorded message played backwards. Exactly, Jessica. Backmasking. Okay, so let's pull this back up. Sabit say fools. Right? Let's say that's the signature left at a crime scene, and we need to decipher it. Sabit say fools. Right? As an investigator. What the hell is that? Okay. Well, for today's exercise, I download a voice, I guess, reverse, audio reverser. So I think we should start the recording just by saying, here, let me see. Make sure it works first. Testing. Testing. Let me turn this up. Can you guys hear that?
Testing.
Okay, we'll play that in reverse.
What
the fuck? Okay, so let's go ahead and play Sabbath Say Fools. We'll record that. Sabbath Say Fools. Okay, so let's play that recording.
Sabbath Say Fools.
All right, now let's play it backwards.
Sleuth is the best.
One more time for those in the back.
Sleuth is the best.
Did you guys hear it? So hidden in this message here, Sabbath Say Fools is Mark's sleuth is the best. Going to play it again. All right. So we'll play it forward.
Sabbath Say Fools.
And we'll play it in reverse.
Sleuth is the best.
Sleuth is the best. See, it's like a hidden message. I would have been brainwashing you guys this entire time. You wouldn't even know. You'd be like, I don't know. That was a really good live stream. Sleuth is the best, I think. I don't know what it is, but I think Sleuth is the best. Sabit Say Fools. Sabit Say Fools. Schnebes. Sleuth is Schnebes. That's funny. All right, now back to business. Okay, challenges and counter arguments. Right? Despite the intrigue, linking the cases faces hurdles. Law enforcement stance. Indiana and Iowa authorities have stated the similarities are coincidental. With no evidence connecting the cases, Iowa police evaluated Allen but found no ties to Evansdale, as he lived in Delphi since 2006. Jeff says, so you first recorded Sleuth is the best to see what that sounds like backwards, and then came up with what the backwards word sounded like. Absolutely. Backmasking 101. So it meant something to me, and if you could decipher how I hid the message, it would kind of give you a window into how I'm operating. Like, why did he select that? You know, this is something that's often used in Satanism. Let's see if I got another one. What was Obama's campaign slogan? Was it yes, we can? Let's try that one. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So let's hear the recording.
Yes, we can.
All right, let's play it in reverse.
And I hear you say. And I hear you say.
Thank you. What? All right, crime differences. Evansdale bodies were moved 25 miles and hidden for months, while Delphi bodies were found the next day near the abduction site, suggesting different levels of planning or intent. I think we can argue about that. You know, maybe Richard Allen was trying to abduct the girls. I don't know, but that is a good point. Oh, Lord. It was just an example. Or is he saying green dress, green needle? Cindy, it's obviously Schnabess. Dark side. Yeah, it is creepy as fuck. But now when you guys start to kind of see these types of things around you, keep your eyes open. Like, think about it. It might be just gibberish in the background. But Sabit say fools, you might be like, I don't know. There was something that said Sabit say fools written on a piece of paper. Bunch of gibberish. Disregard and just kind of throw it, out of sight, out of mind. But really could have had all of the answers there the entire time. Occult skepticism. No concrete evidence supports an occult motive in either case. The date inversion could be coincidental, and ritualistic theories may stem from public fascination with the number 13's mystique rather than facts. Allen's profile. Allen, a local pharmacist with no known criminal history, fits the FBI's profile of a Delphi offender, but lacks a clear connection to Evansdale or occult practices. And that's it, guys. That's all I had for you. And just like that, fit it perfectly into 1 hour. So we'll go ahead and hang out for the next 5 minutes in the chat. And let's go ahead and close down the poll. Poll question: Delphi and Evansdale, connected, not connected, possibly connected. 49% of you say possibly connected, 40% say not connected, and 11% say yes, connected. I'll give you guys another minute on that. And I remember from the beginning of Delphi, they talked about DNA. Yeah, we have DNA. We have DNA. We're taking everybody's DNA. Did they really have DNA? No. Well, yeah, every crime scene has DNA. But did they have the killer's DNA? No, they don't. So things aren't always as they appear. TJ Collins, there is a CIA document where they studied what people said played backwards and claims it's true talk. Might be wrong about it being a CIA document. That is interesting. Jamie Sleuth, what do you think of the sticks over the blood pool? I see that represented, but I don't know if it means anything. I've only seen it in drawings, and the crime scene photos that I've actually witnessed for myself, I didn't witness those there. I saw the blood and maybe some sticks that were present, but I didn't see anything that was like formed. But when you look at the illustration that was presented during trial, it makes it look almost like the Blair Witch stick man. You know what I mean? Which is deceiving. Just, because of pareidolia and things like that. The Silver Leaf. Richard Allen is a sick monster who suffers from little man syndrome, in my opinion. He did seem to have a lot of issues. What else did he say? I don't like the way people think. He couldn't handle it when people thought bad about him. Like, this dude had a lot of issues. I mean, he talked about having a heart attack in 2010, depression, anxiety, dependent personality disorder. He's like obsessed with the way people are perceiving him or accepting him. It's weird. Like, who goes around and talks like that? You know how I feel about how people think about me. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, who gives a shit what people think? I know some people it bothers them, but to be totally obsessed, you're talking about that while you're being interrogated about a double homicide. If anything, that helps go to your motive and why you did. You committed the sexual assault, and you were so worried about what people were going to say, you committed the murder. All right, we're going to close down the poll. Looks like 48% wins with possible connection, right? Until we learn more, until we get an official person of interest listed publicly by law enforcement. Maybe a new presser, new evidence. I say, why not Richard Allen? With what we know about him now, right? He's a fisherman. The girls were taken from a park known for fishing. Actually, they were abducted between two fishing locations. All you have to do is go under the highway and you're at location number 2. Yeah, I don't know if he planned to get caught. Usually people who do stuff like that, bad actors, are people who can't control themselves, or at least that's what they say, right? They were compulsion. And then after they do the act, they're like, what have I done? Overcome with guilt. And because they don't want to get caught, they kill their victim. In most cases, that's what happens, especially with kidnappings. You know, somebody might get all drunk or all high and go out there and commit an abduction and a sexual assault. And then as they start to sober up, they start to think about how they can't let this person go or they're going to go to prison for the rest of their life. And these people already don't think like a normal human. You know, it's all chaos anyway. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Walks around with a guilty conscience. Or just constantly wearing a mask, right? Like your typical psychopath. You know, they wear a mask. Some wear a mask over a ghillie suit. Those are the ones you really got to watch out for. Jason, the guy in the corner in Blair Witch is what the guy did in the 40s to the kids he abducted. The witch possessed him, and he made the kids stand in the corner while he would unalive another. That's kind of scary. I mean, that could be what happened with Delphi. Apparently, the corner thing is a link to a real case. TJ, he's afraid people are seeing him as he really is. Yep, psychopath. They put on that mask, you know, and sometimes it falls. Some people, like most of us here with the sleuth crew, we can see through that mask. It's the ones who are wearing the ghillie suit and then the mask. You know, they kind of have, they're multi-layered. You know, they're multi-layered chameleons. Even if you can see them, you know, being camouflaged out there, really they're just part of a larger something that's being camouflaged, you know. Very elusive. Like the predator. Cindy says Richard Allen has seen what happened to people accused of the crime he did, so that comment he made didn't really sit with me as a confession. With Holman in the car. I mean, I thought it was very strange to say that. It's all over. Like, why would it be all over? They've served dozens of search warrants and nobody said, hey, it was over. You know, they served a search warrant on Bicycle Bridge Road. That guy, instead of complaining about it, he joined Facebook groups to talk about what he had found out while they were searching his home. So instead of saying, hey, you know, I don't want anybody to look at me, everybody's looking at me weird, he went and joined all of the Facebook groups. I think his name was Dave Maxwell, one of the Maxwells, the homeowner. And he talked about it. He talked about what they found, certain things that he couldn't talk about, like the 40 caliber weapon. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the nutties out there, the Delulus, were probably looking at him like, you know, we need to take a closer look at Maxwell over here. I know I did. Me included, right? But still, it was very different than what we got from Allen. Like, he was quick to overreact. He panicked when they brought up the black car. Because remember, this is after the 2019 New Direction presser, which probably made Richard Allen shit his pants. So when they start to talk about that vehicle, he's been paranoid about that ever since the 2019 presser. You know, he's like, oh, shit. Even to the point where he's probably started parking it in the garage, started giving it to his wife, stopped driving it. I guarantee there's a pattern there from the 2019 presser to when him and his wife kind of switched vehicles over. And that's why he chose probably I think he said he put like a cat license plate border thing on there. Like, he's trying to change it up, you know what I mean? He's trying to hide in plain sight. Miss Dog Lover says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Appreciate that. Special thanks to Miss Dog Lover, new member Mark. We have a members only right around the corner. So just in time. Special thanks to everybody who's been donating to the channel, to the Cash App, to the Venmo, to the Zelle, becoming members, sending super chats, super stickers, liking, sharing the content. Thank you. I appreciate that. Miss C.D. Isaacs, welcome in. What Walmart was Richard Allen a manager of? Wasn't it in Illinois? It was in Chicago. That's all he says during the interview. I couldn't find the details. He just says a Walmart in Chicago in 2012. And interesting enough, he switches from Walmart in 2012 and then early in 2013 switches jobs and starts working at CVS. You know, right after the girls were found in Evansdale. Does that mean anything? No. Just pointing it out. I'm not saying, oh my God, that's proof that they're connected. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying interesting stuff, guys. All right, guys, that is our hour. Welcome in. Anna says the cases are not connected. And I don't think I missed anybody. Might have missed you, CJK. How you doing? Melissa Wildcard, happy Easter. All right, guys, maybe we'll get together a little bit later tonight just for an open discussion, a true crime discussion. Maybe we'll open up the panel. Either way, replay crew, if you missed the live stream and you're catching us on the replay, go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know what you think about today's live stream. Other than that, guys, I'm going to have to catch you another time. All right, guys, take care.